Well, we're running over time, so let me do the opening prayer, and then David, if you would care to do your reading. So I'll read it in Hebrew today. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Amen.
Amen.
So, David, why don't you start with what you brought today?
Okay, thank you. I'm going to break, as I mentioned before, a cardinal rule. It's not really about politics, but it's close. And that is, I got back home on Sunday, last Sunday from the Adirondack astronomy retreat. I had a wonderful, wonderful time there. 6 out of 7 nights were clear, or usably clear, and it was wonderful. Yesterday, while having lunch, an announcement came by on the radio that the Corporation for Public Broadcasting was shutting down because of lack of funding. And so help me, I almost lost my lunch. It was so upsetting. I think that the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which includes National Public Radio, the stations that I love to listen to, and public PBS station PBS Channel 6 here in Tucson, that's one of America's greatest ideas. Second greatest idea, I think America's greatest idea is the national parks that we have. But it was really so upsetting, which leads me into the good news that I want to share with you. About 31 years ago, I was involved in a pretty major event in the world. And that was the witnessing of an impact of a comet that I co-discovered onto Jupiter, comet Shoemaker leaving 9. And it was wonderful. I did not know how wonderful it might have been until a couple of weeks ago, when I was reading that there is a new theory about the demise of the 75% of all species of life on Earth after the collision of a major comet or asteroid in the Yucatan Peninsula. The Chicxulub impact 66 million years ago or thereabouts. And it killed almost everything, including the dinosaurs, which gives me a chance to introduce you right now to my new pet. And my new pet's name is Brutus the Brontosaurus. And there he is. He's saying hello to Michael. He's saying hello to Marty. He's saying, who says that we don't have good brains? God bless you all and Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom Shabbat. Marty?
Yeah, I guess the poet Emily Bronte she also used a thesaurus. It was called, she always called it Emily's Brontosaurus.
Great, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Anyway,
Okay. Yes, Michael.
Okay. Marty, thank you very much.
I haven't done my poem yet. So.
Okay. Okay,
okay.
let Michael go, and then we'll go back to you, David. It looks like it's
Okay.
just the three of us.
Okay. So anyway, I want to respond to something that Dovid just said, and that's concerning the public broadcasting system. And if I heard you right, Dovid, you said they're closing it. They're closing down or something to that effect. And if that's what you did say, I want to assure you of something. Being in the music and entertainment industry for over 42 years in Hollywood, I became acquainted with many people, and that's some of the people from the public broadcasting system. Now, they have, and the public doesn't know this, this system has billions and billions of dollars. They do not need money from the public, not $1. But what they do is they just go ahead and do it, and they do it very well. They're very, very clever, and they're very smart, very, very smart. And so they do this. Uh, they produce themselves as if they're going broke, which is further from the truth. They just got tremendous money that was being sent from the federal government and private organizations. They don't need your money or my money. And so I just want to assure you of that. And if you research this, it would probably be very difficult for you to find the truth. But that's why I would say just the present administration, I'll just leave it at that, would be looking into it and looking at fraud, actual fraud and lies about this whole thing. But anyway, I just thought I would take it to that level and stop and tell you that that's the truth. One other thing.
Okay, wait a minute now. Okay, I know we're digressing here, but I think I want to save some time for Torah study. So just don't just let's put a limit that will go another 5 minutes. So you guys, I want to give David some time also
Yes.
within that 5 minutes. So Michael, if you would try to wrap it up, and then we'll get to David's missile. Okay.
Now I'll wrap it up at this point. I'll just wrap it
Okay.
up. Period. That's
Okay.
it.
That's okay. I appreciate that, Michael.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And David, what did you bring today?
Okay, so I was talking about the magnificent impact 66 million years ago
Yes.
in what is now the Gulf of Mexico. And it didn't create the Gulf, but it left a crater over 300 kilometers across, about 200 miles across. And the theory of the algorithms is that, and almost every scientist now agrees with it, is that that caused the extinction of the dinosaurs and almost all the other forms of life on our planet. Now the new theory is a multiple impact theory, that
Yes.
wasn't the only one, the only impact at that time. They found a crater, an impact spot in the North Sea, north of England, which is dated to almost exactly the same time. And it may have been at the same time. They found another big crater off the coast of Western Africa, dated possibly to the same time. And if that turns out to be true, then the real cause, and then of course they have the Deccan Traps volcanoes, that we're now homing in perhaps on the real cause of this, and that is that the cause of this mass extinction at the end of the Cretaceous period is a multiple impact onto our planet, similar to Shoemaker-Levy 9 on Jupiter. I need to do more research myself on this, but I'm looking into it seriously, and it's just very, very exciting. Which brings me to my poem today, at last. Marty, I'm so sorry. You can help me with all this. Anyway, I have two poems today to celebrate this. The first is by T.S. Eliot. It's from Little Gidding, one of his 4 quartets. We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. The other quotation I've read before is one of my favorites. I just love this. It is from Psalm 19, and it ends with a line that a friend of mine named Peter Collins added to it. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night revealeth knowledge, so long as the sky is clear. And on that note, it's
Okay,
back to you, Martin.
thank you. Okay, well, we're in the midst of Deuteronomy 4, chapter 4, and we will pick up at verse 25. And true to form, we will go back and forth. Uh, once you all have it, we can go back. David, if you can get us started, verses 25 uh, through the. Uh, why don't you go through the end of 31?
I'll be happy to do that. And I have a Bible today.
Okay,
And
good.
here we go. When thou shalt beget children and children's children, and ye shall have been long in the land, and shall deal corruptly, and make a graven image, even the form of anything, and shall do that which is evil in the sight of the Lord thy God, to provoke him, I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that ye shall soon utterly perish from off the land whereunto you go over the Jordan to possess it. You shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall utterly be destroyed. And the Lord shall scatter you among the peoples, and ye shall be left few in number among the nations, whither the Lord shall lead you away. And there ye shall serve gods who work at men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell.
Okay. So, um,
But I'm only at 28, though. Did you want me to go to 31?
yes, you can. That's all right. Yes.
Okay, from thence, okay, sorry, but from thence ye shall seek the Lord thy God, and thou shalt find him, if thou search after him with all thy heart and with all thy soul. In thy distress, when all these things are come unto thee, in the end of days, thou wilt return to the Lord thy God, and hearken unto his voice. For the Lord thy God is a merciful God. He will not fail thee, neither destroy thee, nor forget the covenant of thy fathers, which he swore unto them.
Okay. Well, any comments about this?
Oh,
What comes to mind?
I kind of think that God's a little more forgiving than I would be there at the end of that section. But
Okay.
but he's threatening at the beginning. He or she is then being merciful at the end, which is really, I think, quite wonderful.
Okay. Michael, did you have any ideas?
uh, well, he with this the creating sculptured images and he wanted to make sure or do his best to not perform religious services as other nations do, and
Okay.
not to uh, create a habit by doing doing this type of worshiping, and it's to worship a real God, uh, to instill uh, a to instill in his people a valid way to pray with an intelligent way.
Okay, very good. But, yeah, both of you hit on several themes that are mentioned here. Uh, what came to mind uh, about in verse 20? Uh, let's see, where is it here? Yeah, you don't. Where is this here? Anyway, it's really that uh, uh, it's sort of like a sacred commandment, not something. All of us, they're legal. In my mind, as I mentioned last time we met, there are the legal commandments and the sacred commandments. And in this case, it's a sacred commandments to try to teach uh, and carry on Jewish tradition from generation to the next, one generation to the next. And there are a lot of commentaries about this. Uh, but to do that, you have to, in order to do this, you have to behave a certain way. But it's more than just behaving, it's feeling of it. It's taking your values and doing something with it. And this is very, and your value here is the Torah and God and your belief system. Yes, go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, one other thing came to mind as you were speaking, and that is that Jews were scattered all over the world, in
Hmm.
every corner of the world,
Ultimately, yes.
and there are times where a Jew may find themselves alone with no idols and nothing to pray to, but by having the image of a real God. The image, what I say is that I know God is with me wherever I am. And I could, no matter where I am, I could pray to to God. I could look up in the sky. I could close my eyes. I don't have to look at an image to pray to God.
Right. Very good. Very good. David, did you have
Uh,
any?
yeah, there's a prayer that Wendy loved, and I'd like to share that with you. I think that's relevant right now. And that is that it's called Footsteps. And she notices that she's walking with God, and God promises He's always going to be there with her. And they're walking down a path, and she notices there sometimes that there's only one set of footprints rather than two. And those coincided with the times that her life was at its lowest. And she looks up to God and says, "How come you abandoned me? How come you abandoned me when my life was lowest and I needed you the most?" And God answers, "I have never abandoned you, my child. When your life is lowest, that's when I picked you up and carried you." And I was thinking of that yesterday, and obviously had a tremendous reaction on me, and still does. And I think that's appropriate to this very special passage that we just that we're studying now.
Yeah, one of it's talking about, idols, and yes, that's one of the commandments. But there's, as the two of you pointed out, there's so much more than just what is on the printed page. It's what it these there's so many ideas that come to mind as we go through this. Uh, and we're being told that we should be following these commandments uh, because they are part of our values, or should be part of our values. And by not having various idols in this particular case, and from this, but it sort of also is a uh, something prophetic. That if you don't follow what you know is the right way, bad things will happen to you. The more, and most people, they test the waters. They first dip the toe in, then they go up to the ankles, the knees, and so forth. And it can be so bad they ultimately drown in the activities that they are now doing. And So I think that's what this is in part getting after. Uh, so we don't. You have to have a concept of God, because that uh, some people will see an image in their mind, that I guess other people will see maybe nothing, just a vastness. Maybe it's a self-contained vastness, like the Hasid, when they talk about the Ein Sof. God hides himself in the whole universe of everything. But maybe that's part of the mystery that we keep trying to look for. And that's what I get out of all of this, that's being uh, stated, and this theme will be picked up later. You know, I think it depends on what has gone on in each of our lives as to how it's going to be interpreted.
In
Each
my
way
life,
is okay. Yes, David.
in my life, I have a friend whose wife is violently atheist. And whenever the subject even begins to show itself, she will pound her fist on the table and say, "There is no God." And no matter what I try to say, her husband, my friend, usually stays out of this, but he is also an atheist. He just is a lot more gentle about it. But she just jumps up and down, throws things, and is generally very unpleasant. I even tried to tell her that I follow very closely the Einstein feeling that we cannot know if there is a God, as relating to what you were saying. And so Einstein was agnostic. He was also proud of his Jewish heritage, and so am I. I am comfortable with it, and I know I'm getting way off the subject, so I'll stop there.
No, it's okay. Michael, did you have? Go ahead. Go ahead.
I have to ask you a question, Marty, or a comment. You use the word value.
Mm-hmm.
It's in it. Now we're talking about religion,
Yeah.
okay? And is it the same as a value as a? Uh, would it be in the same category as a person who is not Jewish, who believes in the idols in their religion, and they're good people in other religions? In the Catholic religion, they're a good people,
Yes.
okay? And they're that because they happen to believe in idols. Do they have is that a bad value for that person?
No, it's a good value.
Yeah.
I think so
So
too.
for that
So,
person.
yeah.
But
So what I'm saying is that is religious values equivalent to values outside of religion?
well, I think that we're talking about a Jewish value,
Yes.
but you are very correct that every religious group or even a religious group, a group that doesn't want to believe in a God or a religion, but whether they call themselves spiritualists or secularists or whatever, uh, they too can have a value system. As a
What about
matter
an
of
atheist?
atheists, if they all have a code of ethics that has been written, and what I find very humorous is that it's very similar. It's very similar. They just leave the word of God out of the equation.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
because
everything is the same.
I happen to know a few people who don't believe they're atheists, and they're very fine people.
Hmm.
They're very fine. I believe, my personal belief, that they're missing out on something very, very critical and very important in their life, you know. And from time to time, I see people who are very much confused. They'll 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 make the mistake and say, "Oh my God, I hope God helps that person." And that's coming from an atheist.
Yeah,
So I find atheists to be somewhat confused, but that doesn't negate the fact that they're a good person.
yeah. The only trap that I personally find is with atheism or agnosticism. That what happens is you run the risk of arrogance, that that all of these ideas are man-made and man is the most superior thing on earth. And that's a risk that's greater than the risk of believing in a higher element that you try to strive to achieve, to fulfill the commandments and the laws. It's both spiritual, both the sacred and the legal side of things. Uh, it, it's so difficult to do. Moses is probably the only one that comes closest to it, but it doesn't hurt to try. And I think it becomes a little easier to accept when we have, the, something beyond that we can. We all have a conscience. We get that from our parents. Well, maybe this is part of it. Maybe God is that still small voice is like our conscience, always there, and it's something of value. Okay. And I purposefully did not use the word virtue because in my mind, virtue, uh, each individual, it's it, by the way, I have several thoughts going on at the same time. I have to compose myself. I do
including
this all the time.
including a welcoming of Suzanne.
Yes,
Joined us.
she's about to come on. That's right.
Does that mean
So
I have to do the quotation again and the story and the whole
uh,
thing?
no, it's okay. but
I have to
but
step away for a minute.
you go ahead. Take care of your eyes. No, but I find that what I was going to say is that to paraphrase, it has a different meaning to me. It is something of value, something to hold on to.
I agree with you so much, Marty. And, I find great comfort. I find tremendous comfort and joy in being in my
Yes.
Jewish heritage. I just love it. But I also find joy in the idea of an agnostic, of being agnostic. I mean, just because we can't know something does not mean we can't have faith.
That's right.
And
That's how I look at it too, Dan.
and I'm glad you do. And I got that idea from Father George Coyne, who was giving a lecture in Tucson that I was attending years and years and years ago, where he talked about the scientific method using evidence and the religious methods involving faith. And he said there are two ways of looking at the world and the universe, and they're both valid, he thought. And I've never forgotten those words of his.
I think there are two ways of looking at the same thing. And probably if you think of it from both directions, you get closer to the truth about the thing, whatever you're discussing.
I
Uh,
think so. I
yeah,
agree with that so much.
yeah.
God bless you.
Father Guy was a very special person. He was a
Yeah,
very
Brother
special.
Guy is still with us. He is
Yes,
just retired as director of the Vatican Observatory, and Pope Leo just appointed his successor, but he's still going to be there. But Father Coyne, George Coyne, is someone that I just loved so much.
yes,
Stories he told
yes,
me about Pope John Paul II, and especially the one that where he was running, doing his daily run out in the Vatican Observatory Gardens, and there was a door that opened, and John Paul walked out and saw Father Father saw him, Father Coyne, and George said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm just trying to get a sandwich." And they walked together to the kitchen, open the door, and the employee comes out, and she's just livid. "Your Holiness, you're supposed to be in your chambers. I will bring you your sandwich." And the Pope looked at him like a little kid and said, "I just wanted a sandwich."
that's cute. So I think that, I think these are very important words, and indeed, uh, as we go into the rest of the reading today, there are phrases that will remind you of some of the prayers that we read every day, and also on the Sabbath. And you'll see a segment. Oh yeah, that's part of what we pray on the Sabbath, or and also on high holidays too. Yes, Michael.
And see, in my estimation, there is a creator, there is a God, and I simply say to myself, how did this all come about? Everything, this world, how did this world and everything in it come about? Uh, to
Sure.
it has to, for me, there has to be a God, you know, and I think the Jewish perspective on God is the correct one for me. I believe that,
Yeah.
and everything that you see has been created by God. In other words, if a person finds a cure for a particular disease, God created that cure, not that person. It appears that that person created because he did it, but it was really God that created that. God created it, and God could create continues to do it through the human being,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
And not only do we have Suzanne here today, we
Yes.
also have Suzanne's cat, who will also be contributing to our conversation today. Hello, Suzanne.
Well, let me get my allergy medicine first.
Okay.
Hi, Suzanne.
Hi, David. Hi, Michael. Thank you for the warm welcome, David. I always appreciate it. And and I coughed and my cat ran away. I guess she's the germaphobe.
Oh God. Anyway, as we were reading, uh, if it in 29, in verse 29, there were several things that stood out to me. One was, well, first let me ask you, what does David would well, let me read it. This is in more modern English here. Uh, but if you search for the Lord your God, you will find him, if only you seek him with all your heart and soul. When you are in distress because all these things have befallen you, in the end return to the Lord your God and obey him. So what is it, so there were several things that stood out to me in that phrase. What about it for you guys?
Well, it,
Go ahead, Michael.
it with all your heart and all your soul would mean for me is that if you keep what you're supposed to keep in the tradition of Judaism, obey the laws, obey the commandments, and
Hmm.
obey what God says. That to me, with that would mean with all your heart and all your soul, just abiding by all His commandments and what you're supposed to be doing as a Jew.
Okay. Anyone else have an idea about that?
But I don't think that this just applies to Jewishness. I think it applies to everyone. And if it doesn't apply to everyone, I believe it means nothing. So I think it has to apply to everyone. Not so much that you get up every day and do chakras, as I do, but to appreciate there is a higher power and uh, and to live a good life. I mean, these rules have to apply to all of us.
Okay,
Yeah,
that too. That
I
too, because
I agree with that. Because although the Jewish people are God's chosen people, the rest of us are still his people and his children.
right.
So, uh, trusting in the Lord and loving him with all that we have, that has to be for everybody.
Yeah.
Well,
Each in his, I think what's being said here, Michael, each in his own way, is the phrase that I think we're trying to find. Uh, yeah, you were going to say more. Go ahead, Michael.
yeah, I would absolutely agree with David because on the highest holiest day on the Jewish calendar is Yom Kippur, and it is stated on that day that everyone who attends synagogue is praying for the world, praise for the world, and that would uh, uh, state that David is correct when they pray for the world. It's not the world; it's the people in the world.
Well, thank you, Michael, and certainly Suzanne, for what you just said.
Yes.
But of course, Suzanne, you reminded me of this famous line from Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof, which I just still crack up whenever I hear it. And he said, "We are the chosen people. For once, could you please choose somebody else?"
That was a great line.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
The,
Loved
the,
it too. My
the
grandmother and my mom and I were watching the actual play in Montreal. And in the middle of it, during one of the sadder parts, my grandmother turned to me and said, "I was there. I was living in Russia when they expelled the Jews. And that's why we moved to New Orleans." And she's right out in the middle of the play. She told me that. I've never forgotten it.
Oh,
That's a good point, and it is the play is it talks about Jewish history. If you just if you just listen to the lyrics and the songs, it's good enough. You can enjoy the songs, but really you can pull these up online. Okay,
Yeah.
so there were a couple of words that stood. Go ahead, Michael. Yes.
Okay, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I need to get this out. Thank you, Marty. I was going to ask, if you don't mind, David, who was the original fiddler on the roof?
The original one,
Yeah,
I mean, I'm gonna have to pass. I don't know.
It
you
shows
don't
up
know.
in
I'm
Show in the
well.
Late House.
I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah.
See, I didn't think that you knew, but you could have. But anyway, dear Marty and
It's one of the
Suzanne,
stories. Yeah.
the original fiddler on the roof happens to be a member of this group, and the temple was Steve Merritt. Now, the way that I know that is I went over to his house about a year ago, and he was on the roof fiddling around. See? So our
Oh,
little
good one.
humor is so good, Marty.
It is. It is. Well, I also found some things, some words in here that I thought that are important, and that is in verse 29. It's a simple word to search, but if you search there, so here you can search in the universe, you can search in the earth, you can search within your heart, and you can and God will be there. But it reminded me of a song by Chicago, the group,
Yeah,
in the 1970s. Okay, I've been searching. I've been searching. And you can look up the lyrics online and the commentaries about it, and you will see the parallel of that song to this passage.
one of my favorite groups. Thanks for mentioning that, Marty.
Okay, so it just is something that is a little different. That came to mind when I saw that in this context. So that means that people from other backgrounds are also searching. They're searching, and the way the song ends is very much like this. The idea is to keep searching. Never assume that you have found everything you wanted to know that one time, because the next day you have to search some more. Things will change. And so I find these uh, that these would be uh, these are important words. And I'm also, David, reminded of the phrase again by Polonius, to thine own self be true. And Polonius obviously betrays that in himself in the way his actions. But that phrase from Shakespeare, to thine own self be true, is a very important because it's talking about values. When you go out into the world, it's your values that are going to get you through day in and day out.
You
And
mentioned the name Felonius.
Polonius,
Oh, Polonius.
not Felonious Monk.
Okay, wanted to make sure.
But I think that these people have picked up on this theme. Shakespeare too, and others. These I just I'm just defaulting to a few people, but there are loads of others that come to mind. Leonard Cohen and does the same thing in some of his poetry. And Walt Whitman, another one who is like that. And there are others. There are so many others that are out there. And it would be so. It you have to find. So yes, you can find God in your heart, and those are the virtues that you want to have and hold on to forever. That's the key to the thing. And keep searching for more ways that those virtues can be found and upheld. Yes,
I
David.
believe you're trying to say, Marty, that it is the search that really counts.
Yes.
And that is so important in so many aspects of life.
The rabbis address this. Okay? Life is a journey, death is a destination. So along that journey, it's important to maintain your values so you can keep on, as was being discussed before, the Jewish way. But there are other ways out there that you can still be a good person. And but there are a lot. It's a basic in most religions, and even if there is not a God, such as in Buddhism, it's all the same. I think that's what we're getting after. It's all the same.
There's a destination, there's a
Yeah,
search, and then a destination, but it doesn't end there.
that's right. And if you pass those values on to your children and your grandchildren, you are going to you're doing the you're going to be able to help perpetuate the good values that are here in the various commandments.
But there's also a way to pass them on. There's a
Well,
there's a
you got to show that it's with joy and love and everything else that you do these things.
and there can also be unforeseen destinations.
Oh, sure.
So that's why I would say you found it that you got to the destination, but it doesn't end there. Once you get there, there may be other things involved that will lead you to another point in your life, another destination.
Sure.
And so that's the beauty of what we're reading here in this living text. It's it's remarkable in the fact that it creates a real thinking in one's reading of it.
That's right. Now, if it's okay, any other comments about what we've just been reading? So, if let's see, Michael, would you care to read verses 32? I think almost to it, yeah, it's 32 through the end of 40.
You have but to inquire about bygone ages that came before you, ever since God created man on earth, from one end of heaven to the other. Has anything as grand as this ever happened? Or has its like ever been known? Has any people heard the voice of a God speaking out of a fire, as you have, and survived? Or has any God ventured to go and take for himself one nation from the midst of another by prodigious acts?
Prodigious act. Yes.
By signs of potence, by
Portent.
war, by a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. and awesome power, as the Lord your God did for you in Egypt before your very eyes. It has been clearly demonstrated to you that the Lord alone is God. There is none beside him. From the heavens he let you hear his voice to discipline you on earth. He let you see his great fire, and from amidst the fire you had his words. You heard his words, and became, and because he loved your fathers, he chose their heirs after him. He himself, in his great might, led you out of Egypt to drive from your path nations greater than, more populous than you, to take you into their land and to assign it to you as a heritage, as it's still it's still the case. Know therefore this day and keep in mind that the Lord alone is God in heaven above, on earth below. In mind that the Lord, no, there is no other. Observe his laws and commandments, which I enjoin upon you this day, that it may go well with you and your children after you, and that you may long remain in the land that the Lord your God is assigning to you for all time.
Very good.
Well, thank you. Thank you also, Michael, for that.
Thank you.
As I mentioned to Marty earlier, I'm going to need to take off for about a half hour to run to the post office. And I would like you all to promise me that you will not completely behave yourselves while I'm gone.
Okay. That's
Okay, I hope to be back in about half an hour.
okay.
Okay.
One of again, it's basically reciting how important is, some people will say the glory of God. And if you recognize that it's with God's guidance, and that each of us, he's given a different gift. So, some talent that each one of us has that's different from everyone else. That's what I take from this, because this is to the whole community. It's not just to one person. Moses is saying this and says, you're doing this, and each of you keep the values in mind as you go through and you're doing each of your respective talents, but realize that, and remember all of the actions that God has done for you to make you who you are. And remember your history. That is very important. Don't let anybody try to take that away from you. And that, by the way, that's why we go through a specific set of I'm going to call them rituals or rites every year in a particular sequence for each holiday, and it has a special meaning. But we're asked to remember each time, to remember the Passover, but to also remember why it's important for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the differences in each one of the holidays, because your forefathers believed this way. That's what it's saying. Honor them by remembering the Torah. Comments? I don't know if somebody has a different way of interpreting this, but it's talking about a whole bunch of stories. By the way, what was said before, God is he's sort of representing the Israelites after they cross the Sea of Reeds, and they witness all the death and destruction of the Egyptian army, and they feel so happy about it. And God is chides them and says, "No, you shouldn't be happy. Those were all my children." I'm sort of paraphrasing, so God weeps that when he sees these other people destroyed. He didn't. You get the message. He really didn't want to do what he did. He had mixed feelings because it's hard to say, to punish or to see a child, you be the cause of a child's death or things like that. And so, yeah, God has feelings, or we have feelings that God experiences.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Yes, Suzanne.
Since you brought that up, I think God's issue in Egypt was with Pharaoh, and
Yeah.
as far as the army was concerned, they were just loyal soldiers
Mm-hmm.
doing what they were told to do, and they really didn't have much choice. I guess if they disobeyed, that would have meant death for them. Um, yeah, so they were punished really for the actions of one man.
And yes, and at the same time, in going back to what we've just read, what should come to mind when you read this is the uh, pillar of smoke during the day and fire at night, and pillar of fire at night. The imagery is just tremendous, and but it more than the visual throughout the Torah, it's the power of the power of the word of God. And I think that Moses' summary here, I think is appropriate. We did our best to follow the word of God. We had our times when we lost faith and like that, and we had to go through one punishment after another. But we made it. We finally got through all of this. But it shows that hold on to your values. They will get you through this. And part of that is faith. Any other comments?
Turning your happiness not to the destruction and the death uh, of the Egyptians, but turn your happiness towards God
Mm-hmm.
and thankfulness to what God had did,
Yeah.
what He had done, rather.
Yeah. I
Is
understand.
direct that emotion not towards the Egyptian, but towards a a place that would deserve that emotion.
Right. And then if I agree with you, Michael. And then after it says that in verse 31 we read that if you don't follow the rules you're going to have a miserable life, if okay, and you'll perish. I take it as you'll perish feeling and acknowledging all the bad things that you've done rather than because you strayed. But I think that here, but if it's restated here, but if you observe the laws and commandments, notice they're separate, the separation, laws and commandments. which I give to you this day, that you may go well with you and your children after you. So this is for the future, not just here. The rabbis interpreted this as we were all there in Sinai, receiving the Torah and the scriptures. So that's where that commentary from rabbis is there. Any other discussion?
You said you differentiated between law and a commandment. Did you mention that?
Yes, I did, because you have you have sacred laws, and you have legal laws
Right.
throughout this, and the same
Yeah.
for,
Well,
so
that's what.
whether you use if you can say the commandments, or how to behave and things like that.
Well, that's what I was going to
Right,
say. The commandment is towards God.
right.
That's God, and a law has to do with the human side of everything, the legal side.
Yeah. So that's and that's going to come up again and again. So I just wanted to see if there were any other comments. I'm going to backtrack a little bit, because
I've got to take off.
one of the things that uh, when there are several phrases also that in what everything we've been reading, that God is a compassionate God. We know that he can be a jealous God, but he's also a compassionate God. And there's the phrase outstretched arm in verse 34. So that he can do wondrous things. But if somebody, he was doing it with an action against Egypt with an outstretched hand. But if somebody offers you an outstretched hand, Suzanne, what does that imply?
They're reaching out to provide help and assistance.
That's right. And that's what the other way of looking at this here. And I think that so when you're reaching out, you're really doing one of the commandments. And I purposely didn't say, I didn't want to say what you were reaching out for, but just the process of reaching out. It could be personal. It could be something that you are trying to achieve in your life. It can be how you deal with a spouse. You're reaching out to your spouse. It could be family. It could be your church members, temple members. There's so many different interpretations how you can use the imagery. And and by the way, that is the power of our mind. When we think of God in our mind, not an idol, it's showing us something that we too have the power to command ourselves. We can lead ourselves in following the virtues. We can then go forward following those. There's a lot of different ways we can look at these paragraphs. Now, a lot of people say, well, Deuteronomy, okay, it's one thing, but I find there's so much meaning, how to be at least striving to be a decent person. It's a reiteration of things, and I just find that it's very important for all of us. Any other ideas that you wanted to mention, Suzanne? Right now, everybody's taking a break.
Oh,
I just
just
noticed.
realized Michael left too.
Well, he's having problems with his eyes.
Yes, yes,
And he puts
I
these
understand that.
liquid. He has to
Well,
put in these liquid tears all the time.
I'll take a moment for a quick sidebar. I had
Sure.
trouble logging in, and so I sent you an email because I thought maybe
Oh,
that
I didn't,
like,
okay.
no, no. Well,
I
what I
had,
want to say is ignore the email because I tried one more time and I
okay,
realized what I had done wrong.
okay.
So, so you can ignore the email.
That's fine. I purposely mute my phone and don't I don't hear the sounds on because they can be distracting and I put
Sure.
our landline in another room so no distractions. So I'm sorry I didn't respond to your email.
No, that's okay. I got it figured out. So
Okay. So now we're up to verse in Deuteronomy 4, verses 41 through the end of 43. Suzanne, would you care to read that?
sure. Then Moses severed three cities on this side of Jordan toward the sun rising, that the slayer might flee thither, should all kill his neighbor unawares, and hated him not in the times past, and that fleeing unto one of these cities he might live, namely Bezer in the wilderness, in the plain country of the Reubenites, and Ramoth in Gilead of the Gadites, and Golan in Bashan of the Manassites.
Okay. So Moses is now officially doing what God had asked him to do to set up the cities as sanctuary cities, so that if somebody does, accidentally kills someone else, if they can get to those cities in time before the families come chasing after them, or the law, whatever, that they will have a sanctuary. It's not for murder. It's not for premeditated murder. These cities are supposed to be just uh, for
Accidental. Yeah.
accidental cause accidents causing someone's death.
Yeah. It's interesting how the concept of sanctuary was used back then versus how we use it today.
Yes,
It's not quite the same.
it is not the same, and in all of the movies, for the westerns from Clint Eastwood, and the westerns he made, and others, the churches, you could claim sanctuary, for all kinds of things, but not necessarily murder. Okay, so that's the thing that we can be aware of. Now, going back a few months when this was first mentioned when we read in the book of Numbers about the sanctuary cities, I said I raised the question, but nobody responded, and I found an answer to my question. You have three in a small area, okay, on the east side of the Jordan and the Jordan River, and you have three scattered throughout Canaan on the west side of the Jordan. One is and that side is very large. So it, there's something I found about that. I didn't realize this at the time. But I asked the question, why have three in just a very small area and the other three in a large area? And this is the six cities of this is in Plout. Uh, the six cities of refuge were to be set aside, 3 of them on the eastern side of the Jordan, where 3 tribes had already settled. Why did this? And they recognized and asked the same question. And it says the Talmud speculates that the sparsely populated eastern territories needed as many cities of refuge as the rest of the country together because of the high incidence of crime. Already, Hosea called Gilead, which is one of the areas, a land covered with footprints of blood. So it's an interesting it's just an interesting commentary that these people were the tribes had several aspects that were not necessarily the most pleasant, let's put it that way, compared to the rest. So they needed in their small area. Remember, this is cattle country. They maybe that's why in the Wild West they needed jails in every community. Think of it that way. And even though the size of the population was small, because crime was running rampant in our own West.
Yeah, at this time in history, Marty, was there actually a clear understanding? Well, I'm wondering if there was a clear understanding between kill and murder.
Yes, it's stated. It has been stated because the commandment is murder. It's not to kill.
So,
So
okay,
they could understand one is being plotted, the other is, and doing it intentionally, the other is unintentional. Oh,
yeah.
you flail your arms in discussion and you knock someone out. Okay.
So,
And he
right.
hits at his head
So
and
they know. So I'm also wondering why in the non-Jewish interpretation of "Thou shalt not kill,"
you know,
as still states that "Thou shalt not kill," and
I
is it starting to change? "Thou shalt not murder."
I have to rely on a minister unless Suzanne, do they have that distinction in your church?
Well, I don't go to church and I'm really
Okay.
not your average Christian. However, I have heard many Christians say the word murder instead of the word kill.
Okay, so they too are saying similar things.
Correct.
They're very good.
Correct. I don't think it's changed in the King James Bible because that was what written in the 1600s. But yeah, I have heard many Christians say murder instead of kill.
Right, because and legally the law looks at the different. There is a big difference too with the law,
Yes.
and
What do you mean, the law?
well, the law in every Western nation, it's filtered into other areas of the globe. The law has different degrees of a killing, or murder.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, it's
yeah,
you know,
every yeah,
one is one is premeditated and one isn't.
it isn't. That's right, and
That's
the
the
law
difference.
separates that out too. Yes, yes, Suzanne.
I find it interesting in verse 43
Yes,
that Golan in Bashan was a sanctuary city
yes. It-
because the Golan or the Golan Heights certainly is,
well, that's right. Well, we've said this before that the region, that part of the region is what we now, the Golan Heights were part of Syria, part of, and this region that was part of Jordan also, where the Reubenites and the Gadites and some of the Man, well, Manasseh, the tribe of Manasseh, some of them, not all, they inhabit. And because they raise cattle and they need large acreage in order to do this. But it was fertile and so that means it was grassland. Probably got more rain than others. One of the things I can mention about Golan, the city of Golan, that we really don't know where it was. We assume it may have been in the Golan Heights, but it may not have been. We just don't know. It says Bezer, Ramoth and Golan. Their precise location is not known. Bezer was southeast of the Dead Sea. Ramoth near today's Amman, and Golan somewhere in the Golan Heights. That's supposition. Nobody knows for sure.
And Bashan, I think, is a place of idol worship. I think didn't the tribe of Dan go there?
Gad. I think it's Gad, and I may be wrong.
Because I think the tribe of Dan was one of the first to start worshiping idols again.
Okay. I don't know for sure, but
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that, so I'll go along with it for now.
Yeah, I'm not 100% either.
But idol worship is, and we also had a discussion over the years that we can make idols out of everything, even our own belief systems. We can say that's that's it, and we do things just to everything we say and do is to feed that belief. You have to be very careful when you say that. I have to be careful when I say that because wait a minute, that's what we're being asked to do also. But if you can be driven to do that, and we call those people zealots. God looks at them with favor because but you can have zealots that do and try to convince people there's a better way of doing things. And it's a fine line. You have to be very careful in your thinking and what you say and do. But there are other things we can worship: money, power, okay, greed in general. You know what it can lead to. And all these systems that we talk about, how do you conduct business, how you do this and that. There are codes of ethics, but they sometimes make room for greed. And it takes a higher power. In a community, you have the government that says, wait a minute, you've gone way beyond your bounds. You've done something that's against, our belief system or the law, one or the other. And there's lots of ways we can do it. But at the same time, the same question came up in the temple at one time. When we have the various things like the candelabra, and we have the ark and like that. Well, we don't. Is this like idol worship? And the rabbis at that time said, no, it's not. These are things that are there, as part of the ritual because you need a place to put the candle. But we don't worship the menorah. We don't worship that. It's a place where the candles are, and it's symbolic of the actions of God.
Yeah,
Light
those
on
are in
fire.
place to honor,
Yes, yes,
to provide honor.
that's right. They're tools to provide the honor, as opposed to worshiping the tools themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and God provided the instructions on how to make
That's
these
right.
things.
That's right. It's not,
So it can't be,
you got it. It's in Exodus. You have several chapters devoted to how to do all of this.
right.
But you don't worship those, you know, uh, but you just focus on God for the worship.
Yeah, so therefore, God is the commander and the instructor
Mm-hmm.
and the teacher.
Yes. And Moses is the closest thing we can come to or strive to be as a man who has a more personal relationship with God. We may never be able to achieve that level, but it's a good way, it's a good thing to strive for.
Well, yeah.
I wanted to read something um, in the Talmud,
Hmm.
and this is from the Talmud itself. Torah is to be taught to children and children's children. Okay, it was mentioned here. He who teaches his child Torah is considered as if he taught Torah not only to his child, but to his child's children and their children to the end of time. A grandchild taught by his grandfather is considered as if he had received the Torah at Sinai. It's a very interesting commentary.
Yeah. Who
And
who wrote
that's
that,
in
Marty?
that is in the Talmud. Okay, and I don't know if it's I do not know if it's who's actually said it. I don't know which part of it is in the Talmud who said that, but just that it comes from there. And it's a very interesting thing. So they will be very observant. They will copy what you do, your children and your children's children. And if you show them that the Torah is very meaningful to you and the way you treat other people, the way you conduct yourself in life, in addition to certain rituals following that, they too will do the same thing. And you've done a good job then. You're praised here. Now, the other thing, um, it, this is a Hasidic interpretation of the phrase "the image of God." Uh, it, 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 this is out of the Zohar. So it says that verse 3 in Hebrew is very strange. So it says verse 23 reads strangely in the Hebrew. For in effect, it warns us not to make a sculptured image in his mitzvot. Ah, so your deeds, you can start to worship even your deeds. And I'm holier than thou because I do this deed. So but the word in Torah is mitzvot. It means that mitzvot should not become like idols of wood and stone, without soul and spirit. So you want your deeds to convey soul and spirit, your values.
Yeah.
That's the key. And so and then there's a commentary, uh, searching and finding. Every promise found in the Torah also contains a command. Thus the promise, the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, entails the command to go and settle in the promised land. So here, if you search, implies the mitzvah to search without delay. Okay, so if there's if some people will go online right away and look something up or go to a book, another resource, and that's fine. That's what we're supposed to do. Or to talk to someone, get someone else's opinion. You're searching, and that is uh, there was a the coasters, the coasters going back to the 1950s. I've been a searching. So, that's a different one. That's different. But it's the search that's important. That more than once you've found it, you have to find something new to find, or you're dead in the water. And one possibility is to make what you found an idol. Okay.
I,
Any other comments?
yeah. Uh, this is one of the things that the Chabad does, and when there are young Jewish rabbis that were just ordained, they
Mm-hmm.
are sent out to the community to talk to different people and to spread this thing that you're talking about,
Yes.
the Word of God and the Judaism. And last week I was visited by two Chabad rabbis, two young
Oh,
rabbis, and I get this visit every year from different young rabbis. They come to the house and they talk to us. They talk to Betty and myself, and they talk about Torah, and it's wonderful. It's a very, very, very nice thing that they do.
yeah.
And this has been going on for many years right here in Green Valley, Arizona. I
That's
even have their business card that they gave me right here. See,
Roving
right there.
rabbis. I love it. The roving rabbis.
Yes, the roving rabbis.
Uh, okay.
Did you like that,
The,
Suzanne?
the roving
Yes, I
rabbis.
did.
I love to
Good.
go a wandering. Okay.
Yeah,
With my
roving rabbis.
knapsack on my
It's not
back.
roving. It's not quite the coasters, but
Sure.
whatever.
Okay. David, did you have something else you wanted to bring to our attention?
No, except to say that my new computer has arrived. The computer I'm using today is the oldest computer ever made. I named it Moshe Rabbeinu. I named it that is that it was the computer that Moses was using when he got the Ten Commandments. The reason the glass broke while he was getting it was all those lightning bolts striking it. And Moses said, God, you're breaking my laptop. And God said, so get it fixed. Live with it. And that's what I did. And I now have a new computer as well.
So,
And that's my comment. And I'm back. I'm glad to be back.
so you're back and just in time. I think this is a good place to stop. And the reason is that we're going to be going into more of the laws and like that, and the way it starts each one. And so next time it's going to be a further discussion of the Decalogue, the Ten Commandments. So we'll go from there, and it's also it begins a new parsha too when people are reading on a weekly basis. So we will next week we will start on Deuteronomy
5,
chapter 4, verse 44. So
44.
444.
44.
Okay. So we'll go from there. Anything else that anyone wanted to speak about?
No, but thank you, Marty, so much. In regards to Susan,
I will mention that to her
yeah,
and to Betty also. And
nice to
David, I hope things do well. And I'll be giving you fire off at me an email when things are convenient to do things. Okay.
Okay, all right, I'll be
Yeah, I did that
careful.
with Michael too. So, just let me know in the upcoming week or two because, by the way, in September, we're going on another trip. We're going to be,
September, next month.
yes, in September, we're going to be traveling again. We're going to miss the high holidays. We'll be in at the time of the high holidays. We will be in Eastern Europe.
Oh,
So we'll see how things transpire, and for us, it'll be an interesting experience.
How long will you be gone, Marty?
A solid month. We're
So,
going from Amsterdam all the way to Romania.
oh, to Romania.
Yeah.
Romania.
And then you coming home is the biggest ordeal because we fly from Bucharest to Berlin, and then from Berlin we fly to the United States. All on but it'll all be on different airlines and like that. It's going to be
Is this
weird.
a specific tour you're going on, or?
Yes, yes. So we're going to see a lot of the areas that I've read about, and it'll be a fascinating trip.
yeah,
Even from the astronomy standpoint, because of Copernicus and all these, there's some very famous people in the world that came. You follow the Danube and all the rivers that feed into it and like that. And it's an amazing thing that all these countries, what they produced, and it's just an unbelievable trip from that standpoint. So it's going to be a good education, a good trip for education. And we're going with some good friends of ours. And so we'll be looking after each other.
Good. Well,
So,
safe travels for you and
yeah,
Susan
but
and
we
your
got
group.
plenty of time to go till the trip.
Well, it's
Thank
never
you.
too early. Never
Thank
too
you.
early to. It's never too early to say something nice,
Okay,
and
yes,
it's never too late to say something nice, Marty.
that's true.
Because people say, "Well, it's too early. Don't wish me a Merry Christmas. It's not Christmas yet. It's about a month away. So what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With you, Michael.
What?
And by the way, what you
I
just
said I'm with
did,
you.
what
Thank you.
you
I'm
just
glad
said,
somebody is.
I feel it is important to wish everyone from their own standpoint. So when you're seeing someone who's Jewish, it's Happy Hanukkah. If you know someone who's Christian, it's Merry Christmas, not just Happy Holidays.
Well,
Happy Holidays doesn't really give you the spirit behind everything.
Yes.
happy holidays does not cut
Because
it.
that's right.
Yes.
If somebody wishes me a Merry Christmas who does not know me, I wish them a Merry Christmas because they're saying something nice.
Yeah, well,
That's the
it's
bottom
also
line.
meaningful to them to
Yeah,
do
it's
that. That's
the
right.
bottom line is a value.
That's right. Now, I could say to people, Happy 4th of July, but if I'm in a foreign country, I have to know the holidays that are going to turn up when I'm in those countries to be able to wish them the holidays, a happy holiday in their country. But the
And if you
secular
don't know
holiday,
their holiday,
that's right. Excuse me?
if you don't know what their holiday is,
Well, you try to find out. You look it
what
up.
I'm saying is if you're unable to find out,
when they say something, then you find out more information. You say, "Happy holiday to you." What is the holiday you're celebrating?
And what I
Uh,
was getting at is about the value, because you
yeah,
said something important, Marty,
that's
instead
true.
of saying happy holidays, the United States is a Christian nation
Yes,
that allows for every other religion. That's one of the greatest things about our country,
that's right.
that we allow for other people to practice their religion. We don't chop them to pieces if they don't practice
Right.
Catholicism, whatever,
That's right.
Christianity. We don't chop them up, and we
Mhm.
allow for that.
That's right.
And so that's one of the great values that we hold.
That's right. Now you get a little better understanding of the words of the Declaration of Independence. We, in bold letters, we hold these truths to be self-evident.
Evident.
Now you understand what I was talking about when I say it's the values that are so important. And our ancestors understood the meaning of the values, and that's why it unfortunately they had to deal with a monarchy. The populace probably felt very similar, to what we were saying, but the monarchy, the power had gone to their heads. They granted themselves the God-given rights to have the monarchy, and they screwed it up. They screwed it up, and that's what we're talking about today. It's another way of looking at what we just read. So anyway, with that, Shabbat Shalom,
Shalom Shabbat.
and have a great week,
You too,
and
Marty.
hope everybody has good news to share next week, and we'll go from there.
We will. We will.
Okay. Take care. Have a great
Thank,
week.
yeah, thank you, Marty. Good
Thank
to
you,
see you,
Marty.
Suzanne
You
and
too.
David,
And Michael and David, and
and you too,
you
honey.
all.
Thank you.
Take care.
Be
Thank
well.
you.
Thanks again, Marty.
Bye.